Well, hello everyone. I really hope that you can see this because the overhead in the computer lab is not working, so I can't see really what I'm doing. So hopefully this works out. These are your notes for the end of the week, multiple representations notes, and we're just going to go through these hopefully pretty quick. It shouldn't take too long. So when you see the notes that we're doing over multiple representations, all that means is problems or ways that you can show some information where there's more than one way. Like we can do an equation like this, or we can do a graph, or we can write it out in Word. So there's a few different ways we can do this. So let's just start with some basic stuff. Okay, a verbal description. Hopefully you know that a verbal description means in words. So we've got our equation here, 2n minus 5 equals 15. And we want to try to write this out in words, and we're going to look through these answer choices, and it does say circle all that applies, so chances are there's going to be sometimes more than one that does work. So let's read the first description. 5 more than twice the number, and if it says the number, they're usually talking about that right there. So in this case, they're talking about the letter N, and that's again whatever number we might put in here. So 5 more than twice the number is 15. Well, the equals 15 part looks right. It's the 5 more than that throws it off. Okay, so it's not 5 more than twice the number. So yeah, they took this number and they doubled it, twice the number, but 5 more than that would indicate a plus sign, so it's not going to be this one. The second one, 5 less than twice the number is 15. Well, the only difference with that one is this less than, and that does work. So twice the number, 5 less than that. So they took twice the number, then 5 less than that, and it says is 15, which is that part, and so answer B does work. Alright, let's check answer C, because again, we could have more than one answer. 2 times the number plus 5 is 15. Again, this plus 5 is what messes that up. So it's not going to be that one, which means could be this last one. 5 less than 2 times a number is 15. Okay, 5 less than 2 times a number, so there's 2 times a number. 5 less than that is 15, so that answer also applies. So there's 2 verbal descriptions that fit that equation. Okay, let's do the next one. And again, hopefully this is on the screen. It looks like it should be. X plus 8 equals 12. So before we even look at the answers, some number plus 8 equals 12. Or 8 more than some number equals 12. So that's probably something it's going to sound like. The sum, which means addition, of a number and 8 is 12. Well, they're using X as the number. Sum means add. So x plus 8 equals 12, so that one does fit. The next one, the sum of 8 and a number is 12. 8 and a number, sum means add. Even though it's backwards, addition doesn't change anything. X plus 8 is the same as 8 plus x in this case, so that does work. And that doesn't work with subtraction. In other words, if I said subtracting, if this was a subtraction problem, then I can't just flip-flop the numbers. That changes the answer. But addition, you can add either way, and the answers are always the same. A number increased by 8 is 12. So a number with 8 added to it is 12. Guess what? All 3 of those work. So all 3 of those fit that one. Okay? Now this last one is a you try. So see if you can write this out. Just pause the video for just a second. See if you can write out a verbal description of that one. Alright, should be back by now. So they're taking a number, and this has a y in front of it, so we're going to have 2 things we don't know. We don't know the y, we don't know the x. However, if we put a number in for x, we could figure out what that y was. So here's something it should say. A number divided by 2 plus 3 equals y. That's one way to say it. And again, if you need to write that down, you can just pause it. Or you could say 3 more than a number divided in half is y. So either one of those would work. So a number divided by 2 plus 3 equals y, or 3 more than a number divided in half is y, because the number is divided in half, and that's my x. X divided by 2. Same thing over here, number divided by 2. Okay, now let's work the other way. In these, we're going to actually have the equation, and from there, we're going to have the verbal description, and we're going to write the equation. And sometimes these are a little tougher. So let's just practice some of these. Y is 4 more than half a number. So we're going to say x is that number, and then we're going to find half of it by doing that. And then y is 4 more than that, so y is 4 more than half a number. So 4 more than half a number is y. That one would work. Next, 7 less than, that should tell you subtraction right there. 3 times a number is 11. So 3 times a number, 7 less than that is 11. So I got my 7 less than, I got 3 times a number, because they're saying that the 7 less than is, okay, this number, 7 less than that number right there, whatever 3 times n is. Okay, and then from here we could actually solve this one. That's 6 if you don't do that in your head really quick. Okay, and the last one, again, hopefully this is on the screen. The sum of a number and 20, so I'm going to use n. Sum means add. So the sum of a number and 20 is 31. And that's a pretty easy one. And from there you could see that that would be 11, because to solve this you would subtract 20 from both sides. That would go away. And 31 minus 20 is 11. Alright, let's turn it over to the back. Oh, that's the front. Let's do the back. Okay, so now we're going to be doing some graphing. So now we're going to take this equation, which we might have started out with as a verbal description. It might have said 2 times a number plus 5 equals y, or y is 5 more than 2 times a number. Okay, so we're going to fill in this table, and from there we're going to then do this graph here. Okay, so I'm going to put dots here because I'm going to need those. So verbal, again, a really easy one would be 5 more than twice a number is y. So 5 more than twice a number is y. Or y equals 2 times a number plus 5. Either one would work. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take these numbers here and put them into this equation, and when we get an answer we'll put it here, and from there we can do our line. This is called a linear equation because it's going to create a line. So this is a linear equation because with it we're going to create a straight line. If you ever do one of these and the line is not straight, then that's an issue. You won't do any, at least in the regular, normal classes, pre-AP classes, you shouldn't be doing any lines that are not straight lines quite yet. You'll get to that at some point, but when they're written with the y and an x in them, just like that, they should always be a straight line, and that will help you. If you do an equation and you do the line and it's not straight, that means one or more of your points might be mixed up. So you got to make sure you go back and check them. So all we're going to do is we're going to put 1 into this equation. So we're going to put a 1 where the x is. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 5 is 7, so y is 7. Then we're going to put a 2 here for this 2 right here. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 5 is 9. The 3 here, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 5 is 11. Next one, 2 times 4 is 8, plus 5 is 13. Then they try to trick you a little bit by skipping the 5 and putting a 6 here, but that's okay. We're making sure we check this. So 2 times 6 is 12, plus 5 is 17, and 2 times 7 is 14, plus 5 is 19. Now, if I do this correctly, I don't have to do so many lines, or so many points to make a line. The rule is 2 points make a straight line. And this graph doesn't have a whole lot of room on here. So to be honest, I'm probably going to put a 0 here, because 0 is always an easy one to have on your graph, because then it's just that number right there. And we'll learn later on in the year that this is going to be called the y-intercept, where the line that we're going to graph will hit this y graph right here on this y-axis. Okay, so I always like putting a 0 on there, because when x is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, plus 5 is 5, and that's going to help me get done with that. So let's do these. The only 2 points I can really do on here are the one I just did, 0, which means first movement is left to right, so if it doesn't have me go anywhere, I don't go left to right, and the y means go up to 5 right there. So there's that point. And the only other point on here I can do is 1, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 7 is right here. So this graph would look something like this. Maybe we would do a negative to check it, but that's what it would look like. Okay, so there's that one. Let's do this next one really quick. And this one they give us to verbally first. 3 less than 2 times a number, and they tell us that number is n, equals y. It should be an x here, so to make it easier on yourself, please change that to an x. So 3 less than 2 times the number, x, since they use x, equals y. So 3 less than tells us that 2 times a number is y. So that's what that one looks like. And again, I'm going to start with the 0, even though we got some negatives here. I'm going to start with the 0 because that's a pretty easy place to start. So putting the 0 for the x, 2 times 0 is 0. So then the rest of it is just this minus 3 here. So one of my points is 0, negative 3. So maybe I'm going to graph that one first. Again, 0, first number, means left or right. Don't go left or right if it's 0. Just go straight down to negative 3. That's one of the points on this graph. The next one we're going to do is the 2. So we're going to put a 2 here. 2 times 2 is 4. Minus 3 is 1. So my next point is 2. So 1, 2, and then up to 1. There's my next point. Then I'm going to do the 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. So my next point is 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, I should have a straight line, which if you look, I do. Okay, those 3 points are going to line up. I'm not going to do the 6 because I know that it's going to be probably up here somewhere on the graph, so I'm not going to do the 6. I'm just going to skip that one. But I'm going to do the negative 2 because sometimes you have to do the negatives. So negative 2 times 2 is, and I'm going to write this one down so you see it. So 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And then negative 4 minus 3. And this is where you got to be careful. If you can't do the subtraction right, it's a little scary. You're going to have a line, you're going to have a point somewhere else that it's not going to work. So negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7. So negative 2, negative 7 are these points. Okay, if you want to have this point on here, it's negative 11. If you want to have this point on here, I think this is 9. Okay, so let's graph this last point right here that I had. Negative 2, negative 7. So negative 2, and then negative 7 is down here. And again, that should all line up one nice straight line. Again, it's called a linear equation. So if I drew the line, or I did my points correctly, it should be a straight line. And again, hopefully you can see that. So now I'm going to go check to see if I did this, if you can actually see it on the screen. And hopefully it did. And then just make sure you have this done. And we will see you next time.